So I don't think it's going to take that long to get to 50. I know it's taken a long, 3.5 years almost to get back around 30 and above 30, but I think things are going to really accelerate.
This is Kaiser Johnson with Liberty and Finance, and these are the Miles Franklin Weekly Specials for May 13th through May 20th, 2024 while supplies last. First, we feature 1 ounce Gold Krugerrand at $49.99 over spot. We also have 2023 Silver 1 ounce Krugerrand at $3.10 over spot. And finally, we have Silver half ounce Canadian Polar Bears at $2.50 over melt. To order our specials or any of the many other options we have available, call us at 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237. We're available after hours and on weekends, and we look forward to speaking with you.
Hey everyone, this is Elijah K. Johnson with Liberty and Finance, and back with us today is our good friend Mario Innecco from the Innecco64 YouTube channel. Mario, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
Well, it's a very exciting day. Now, we actually recorded an interview yesterday, and we're recording this Friday. We recorded an interview on Thursday, but so much changed this morning in the markets. We saw silver pop above $30, so we had to re-record this segment of the update on the metals here. And then we'll get to some viewers' questions we had. We'll still show that segment we recorded yesterday. So, but your perspective on this pop above $30 that we're seeing in silver and gold popping above 2,400 again.
Well, I'm not surprised because the last couple of days, silver got pretty close to that level. And I think it was just a matter of time. And the other thing I was watching was the premium with the Shanghai Futures Exchange. And I think silver closed today at $32.95 equivalent. So as I've said, I think before with you that the price now has been set in the Far East, and this 30 level, of course, is just like the beach ball getting out of the water, popping out. That's where the line was, and we got up to 30.83 this afternoon in the spot price. Right now we're at 30.63. And gold as well is at 24.15, so it's back above 2,400. And I think what it shows is that the new all-time high in gold is being confirmed in silver because we've got a new, let's say, 3.5-year high or so in silver. And that's why I think silver can move very quickly to confirm the all-time high in gold. But in terms of all-time high in silver, and we know what that price is, it's $50. So I don't think it's going to take that long to get to 50. I know it's taken a long, 3.5 years almost to get back around 30 and above 30, but I think things are going to really accelerate. Data-wise and reason for this happening, I don't think there is much. One thing, though, I would say, geopolitically, the meeting between Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin flew to Beijing yesterday. I think it's very significant. It's showing that Russia and China are both behind, each other, and it's a strong message to the West that they're going to do everything to move forward with their alternative multipolar world. And I think this is reflected in the precious metals a bit because it means a weaker dollar going forward.
Your perspective then on silver above $30, you're thinking it could go to 50 in pretty short order here?
Well, maybe not, in the next week or two, but in the next few months. Even maybe, probably before the end of the year, because this is a very significant level. As I said, it's like a pressure cooker, or let's say you're on the beach playing with a beach ball, and 30 is like the water level. So once the ball gets, out from underneath and pops above the water, it goes very high. So I think that's what is just a technical level that's very important.
And for all our viewers staying tuned here, we'll transition now to our interview we recorded yesterday where we're really talking about what the rise in the metals prices is signaling right now.
Technically, if you look back 40 years as well, gold is, this breakout in gold is very significant. And I think we're just in the beginning, and silver as well. So it's all very encouraging for us, stackers of gold and silver. At the same time, though, it's pointing to the fact that our currencies are becoming worth less and less, which isn't a great thing for the majority of the public.
It definitely isn't a good thing that our currencies are getting worth less, but I guess it's, in a sense, going back to reality. The economy recognizing that paper currencies don't fundamentally have any value.
No, that's right. And they did well up until recently because the central banks were able to use this strategy called QE, or money printing, and people bought into it for the last 15, 20 years, and it helped keep money cheap, helped keep the currency strong, because the bonds that backed this currency, the government bonds, the debt, were always going up and up in value, and the rates were going down. But now everything's turned, in my opinion. And with the bond market turning, that means the currency is turning down. And like you said, a lot of the so-called value, not even value, but the phony wealth that's been created over the last 30, 40 years, a lot of that is going to flow into real things, and I think real things like gold, silver, commodities have been heavily undervalued, and it's just a rebalancing, like you said.
Now, when it comes to the symptoms of this currency crisis, there are a few things you've mentioned in your recent videos that people might not necessarily see as directly related, but you think that they are. We saw the assassination attempt of the Slovakian prime minister recently. What is your take on kind of this, I guess, political instability or political division? Why is that caused by a currency crisis?
Well, it's only because I've read history about currency collapses and crises and economic chaos and debt problems. If you go back to the French Revolution, they called it the Reign of Terror. There's a, everyone knows about the guillotine during those days. It was politically very unstable, and then eventually a strong man came out of that called Napoleon Bonaparte. And the same thing happened just over 100 years ago. In Germany, we had war, and then the German Empire collapsed. The Emperor Kaiser Wilhelm abdicated, and Germany became politically chaotic. There is talk that Bavaria was going to break away from the German Empire, and there's loads of political assassinations. And it's all to do with the currency. When the currency becomes almost worthless, society becomes chaotic, and it's just a reflection of the currency. And I think the same thing is happening not just in Slovakia, but look at the United States. There's huge division politically, and I think that's all to do with the currency as well. Here in the UK as well, there seems to be no hope that either party can do anything good. So, for example, we're going to have the general election sometime this year, but even if the Labour Party were to win, most people don't expect anything better. So, yeah, I think that's what it means. And if you look at like South American countries, for example, they've always been very politically unstable, military coups and everything, revolutions, and they've never had sound currency, at least for the last 100 years. So that's why I think is one of the symptoms. The other symptom, of course, is, societal mores or morality that goes down the drain, the rule of law. Here in the UK, for example, I saw the other day There were these Just Stop Oil protesters. They're like these green climate change people. They block the road so people can't drive to work. And this truck driver came out of his truck in central London, and he just pushed the people on the floor, off the road. And guess what? The police came and arrested him. They didn't try to get the people off the road so people could drive. So it's all like symptoms of that, in my opinion. And of course, also the price of food going up, and it's going to keep going higher. I think it's all a symptom of a dying currency.
Now, this might be. I don't mean to put you on the spot here with respect to a viewer's question, but let's do it. So there is a question about relocation. The viewer asks, considering the rapid decline of the UK and other Western countries, if you were to leave the UK, where would be your relocation of choice?
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about this for years, and I've spoken to my wife about it. But, the older I get, the more I realize that is there really somewhere better? Or, it's the old saying about the better the devil you know. But right now, I think if I was younger and my wife was willing to move, probably Argentina looks like a good place, even though Milei seems to be, he seems to be doing some good things. Yeah, Argentina seems to be a good place because a lot of people don't realize Argentina is probably the most European of the South American countries. So, and over 100 years ago, it was one of the richest countries in the world. So I think it's got a lot of potential. Or maybe the other option would be to go east. I think countries like Singapore and even, I don't know, China, if you could go there. I know that's controversial, but China seems to be booming. But right now, there's so much geopolitical tension that you probably don't want to go to China or Hong Kong. But Singapore is a very good place. Their currency has been probably outside the Swiss franc has been the strongest currency in the last 50, 60 years. They're very stable. But the problem is Singapore is a very small place. It's like a city state, and it's probably very expensive. A lot of UK or British people are going to work in Dubai, very low taxes, but the weather there, it's always very hot. So if you like the seasons, that's not a good place. And I see a lot of people going to Thailand, mainly because it's very cheap with with your pound or your dollar. But yeah, so that's where I would say, like Argentina, Thailand, Singapore, those kinds of places, or maybe even Uruguay in South America. But personally, I'm staying put here in England. It's a little bit, and not that I'm not adventurous, because I've lived in different countries. I was born in Brazil. I lived in Switzerland. I came here, but now I think it's just trying to fight the system as much as possible, and there are ways to do it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are in that situation where they're considering, can we protect ourselves and our family, right, in the place that we are right now, or do we have to flee to another country, right? One viewer asks about the situation in the U.S., right? Can the national debt situation be, can it be controlled in any way? Can it be solved? The questioner asks, thoughts on Trump in a second term? Will he actually do something about the national debt or keep piling it on? My take is he added to the national debt more than any president before him. So it doesn't seem like his track record is really solving any of the financial issue with respect to the government.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be any different than Biden in terms of the national debt. He might be more friendly to small businesses, because I think what Biden did to the small oil company was pretty disastrous. It did help the big oil companies, but the national debt, there's only two solutions. Well, not even two, but the only solution, and this would totally collapse the United States post 1787, because the U.S. is still under that Constitution, but the national debt has become so huge that the only way to solve the problem is to just pull the plug. And you pull the plug, the whole thing implodes. And but there's going to be a lot of people suffering, because that national debt is used to back a lot of government programs like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all the military, the millions of people that depend on the military. It would be a mess. What's the other thing that they can do? Well, they can just keep trying to kick the can down the road. But I heard that Jay Powell, he was in Amsterdam the other day, and he said that everyone knows that the deficits in the national debt are unsustainable, and if nothing is done fairly quickly, it will be a huge problem. So no, I don't think Trump will. Maybe Trump will orchestrate the collapse and then bring something new, but I'm not too sure, because when he was president, I think 2019, the budget deficit was over 5%, and he was even pushing the Fed to lower rates and do more QE. So I don't think it will be much different fiscally.
No, I did want to kind of circle back here. We were talking at the top of the interview about this currency crisis that seems to be going on right now. We are also seeing some other symptoms. We're seeing a melt up in the stock market. We've seen today, as we record this on Thursday, the first time the Dow has ever traded above 40,000 points. So your take on the current melt up we're seeing in other markets like the stock market? Yeah,
I mean, and here in the UK as well, the FTSE 100 is trading at record highs. But if you go back to 1999, 2000, where we had that dot-com bubble peak in the stock market, the Dow gold ratio was around 46. The FTSE gold ratio was around 38. And I think right now the Dow gold ratio is around 16.6. So, yeah, melt-ups are very dangerous, because people who don't know about what we're talking about here, they think everything's fine in the economy. If the FTSE is at all-time highs and the Dow trading 40,000, everything must be okay. But you need to look at these ratios. I think it's really important. So that's what I think the melt-up is pointing to, continued currency debasement. But, you read the FT, the Wall Street Journal, Market Watch, you watch CNBC, no one's talking about that. They're just looking at the nominal figures, and to them, it looks great.
Now, speaking of this currency crisis, this viewer wants to know about one of the things that we're seeing, obviously, is the government rack up large deficits and rack up so much debt. Now, your perspective on, do you think this is kind of a plan, in a sense, to kind of take advantage of the system as we see it right now and then transition into a reset? So, we have the world reserve currency right now. We can gain a lot of it. We can, create the money that we want and spend it and get real things and then reset. So your perspective on that?
Yeah, maybe there is a plan, very long-term plan by the people behind the curtains, like the bankers. They know what's going on, but the politicians, I think they're just reacting. I don't think they can think that that well about, well, what we're actually doing is destroying the currency so we can bring this in. I think there has been a long-term plan to go off. The bankers want to control everything. So you have to first you start with gold and silver coins, which they don't have total control over. So how do they stop that? Well, they stopped it, about 100 years ago with World War I, World War II. They racked up a lot of debt. They took off gold and silver off circulation, but they allowed you to still keep these promissory notes, which were for gold and silver. And people think nowadays that that's a good thing because you have privacy, and to some extent they do. But now they want even more control. They want to get rid of these empty promissory notes and have nothing. So, it could be that it's a plan, and that they're going to try hard to implement it. But I think a lot of people are waking up. 20, 30 years ago, if they tried this, they couldn't really try because the system was still very stable. But now with the internet, with everyone, me talking to you, you are in the States, I'm in the UK. You can talk to people all over the world. People are waking up. So my hope is that, they might try to bring in CBDC, but it will be a big failure, in my opinion. It's a little bit like when they had the French Revolution. They brought in the assignats, and when that was just about failing, they tried something new called the mandat territorial, and that didn't even get off the ground. It collapsed almost as they issued it. So that's my hope. People will wake up and say, why should we listen to these central bankers who destroyed the last system? And now, why should we, accept their solution to what they did?
Now, do you see any way that the U.S. could stop the expansion of the BRICS and save the U.S., continue to have the U.S. as the main world reserve currency? The next part of his question is, what would be the best hidden next steps by the U.S. for trouncing any of the BRICS ideas?
Well, I think the BRICS are just like a symptom of what the bankers and Wall Street and big government have been doing, but not, it's a international reaction, not a domestic one. So I'm not even sure that the United States can stop the BRICS because, the U.S. has gone so far in extending itself fiscally, monetarily, and the economy in the U.S. as well. They've exported all the industry to China and a lot of other countries. So I think it's too late. And we've seen that what they've tried to do with their allies in vis-a-vis Russia and the Ukraine is totally backfiring. So, and for the American people, actually, I think the best thing long term is for the central government, the politicians, that the deep state to fail. And it will be painful, but longer term, it will be the best thing. And I would say cooperating with every country in the world and trying to trade with them peacefully is the best thing. So, I don't think the U.S. will be able to stop BRICS, and because there's so many countries that want to join, and it's like snowballing.
And if our viewers are interested in learning more and continuing to track this with you, where can they find you, Mario? Innecco64
on YouTube. That's the best place. I make a video there, every day, sometimes two. I do a live stream every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm also on Twitter at Innecco1964.
Fantastic. Well, we really appreciate your time, Mario. Any last thoughts before we let you go?
As ever, just know what's happening and don't worry about things. And if you know your enemy and you know